Hello everybody, welcome to the beautiful shores of Lac Le Mans. This is the French side, Evian-les-Bains, and this is the scene of the depart of the 62nd running of the Criterium du Dauphine, which this year is organised by the same organisers as the Tour de France. And yes, it is a mini Tour de France in itself. It's got all the elements, high mountains including Alpe d'Huez, the prologue time trial, a short time trial, and days for the sprinters as well over its 8 days of racing. And of course, it's a preparation event for the upcoming Tour itself. Let's join the action then. On course here is Yanis Brakovic. He's chasing the best time of Remy Poriol, and he gets it. A good start here for the Radio Shack boy, the champion of Slovenia in the time trial, and showing his big skill. The weather, by the way, is pretty nice for this opening day, and the lake has never looked better. Now, TJ Van Garderen making his approach to the line here. Second in the Tour of Turkey this year, getting a chance at the big boys on his first season with HTC Columbia. And a very, very good time indeed, because he's just slipped in there ahead of Brakovic. I'm not sure that was expected. 3 seconds to the good for TJ Van Garderen, 21-year-old American rider. Looks like they've found someone rather special. Let's go back out on course then. This is Alberto Contador here now. Contador himself thinking of the Tour de France, and this his final preparation race, as Contador looks as though he's pulled out something special around the back of the course. It has a nasty little climb on it. He's kept his cadence up well. He's chasing the time of TJ Van Garderen. It's going to be very, very close, but he's got it by just 1.78 of a second. That's a tremendous ride now by Van Garderen to get within 2 seconds of Alberto Contador. Contador said he's not come here to win this race. It's his first race back after his rest period from his classic season. He's come here to test his form. Well, that's not a bad test, is it? Contador then goes out on the second stage with a 2-second advantage of Van Garderen. Brakovic is third. Geraint Thomas of Great Britain and the new Sky team there in fourth. No big surprise there for Geraint. Another youngster in Dario Cataldo taking fifth place, but I think Contador will be very, very happy with this, because that's the way to start his bid for the upcoming Tour de France. So to the opening stage, and we'll have a quick look at how this ran out in a sprint finish here. The defending champion, by the way, Alejandro Valverde, still surrounded by drugs controversy with Operation Puerto, not here. And neither is Cadel Evans, who was the runner-up in this event for the past 3 years. He also decided to avoid Alberto Contador today. So the riders heading off down to Saint-Laurent-du-Pont. It was quite a way, 191 kilometres. There was a break of 4 out front for a lot of the day, but by the end of it, it all came down to this, a big bustling sprint finish. And without the likes of Mark Cavendish to cross swords with, it looked as though the Lamprey youngster Gregor Bole was out to play, taking the race there ahead of Peter Velits of Team HTC Columbia, and Geraint Thomas, the Sky youngster, riding very well in the sprint as well as the time trial to cross the line there in third place. But because the field was all together, Alberto Contador, who said he would be happy to pass his jersey over on this day, didn't have to pass it to anyone, because he finished in the same time of 4:47.24. Bole gets his stage win, back from injury in Paris-Nice in style, and Contador has kept his overall lead. No change in the standings after the prologue time trial. So Contador still thinking of how his legs will take him over Alpe d'Huez, a little bit down the road for the moment. Let's move on then to stage 2 and day 3 of the Criterium du Dauphine. This rider is taking the riders 177 kilometres from Annonay to Bourg-Saint-Ondial, and this is thought to be the only day for the sprinters. But the sprinters had a shock in store for them, as we'll find out in a moment. So there we are now down on the far side of France, always not far away from the big mountains of the Alps where this race has traditionally been run. And these are the riders who set the trend of the day here. Breaking away fairly early on, Bram Tankink in the Rabobank colours on the front left there, Guillaume Bonnefoy of AG2R, Stéphane Auger, Inaki Asazi and Anthony Delaplace. These 5 riders getting away pretty early on today, gaining over 8 minutes on the road, but as you can see now the gap is just 41 seconds as they head towards the finish. So the sprinters probably are going to be on the back wheels before the finishing line today. Overall, though, Tanking has done enough in the King of the Mountains competition to take the lead in that competition, so a leader's jersey awaits him. The lead of the race on points by his first two stages, Geraint Thomas, finishing in the road race in third and the time trial in fourth. And this is now the workhorses of Saxo have got themselves to the front here now. Saxo Bank got a pretty good finish in JJ Haedo, the Argentinian rider. And that's the sight that the peloton knows is the chance now to reel them all in here. Astana also pushing the way to the front. There's nobody behind the race, so if they do come together, Contador, like it or not, is going to keep his yellow jersey, but he's made no attempt with his team to chase anybody down at all. He's trying to be true to his word and give the yellow jersey away. Doesn't really want the pressure right now. His form isn't that good, he says. Didn't look too bad to me in the prologue time trial, I must say. Well, these boys now trying to split it up, but I think they've left it all too late to start jumping around here. A lot of work being done by the Cofidis rider. And if they took a look over the shoulder, they would see that the whole field are now closing in rather quickly on them here. Another nice day, but rain is forecast throughout the week. The organisers on the first day were a little bit worried they wouldn't even get through the prologue time trial. In fact, we did, but the rain did come soon after the finish across the lakes from the direction of Lausanne in Switzerland. Inside 4 kilometres to go now. The catch is almost on them here. Isazi moved to the back of the field. It's a shame because they've had a really good day of racing. They've shared all the prizes along the way over the small climbs, but now the chase down is beginning, and it looks as though Astana are moving the men into the front at this late stage of the race. The yellow jersey down there of Contador, slightly different design to the famous Maillot Jaune of the Tour de France, even though the organisers are the same. You probably recognise the red league car there, because that will also be the same car that will be used in a few weeks' time on the Tour de France. Lance Armstrong withdrawing from this. He's had a rocky old performance this year for the Tour de France preparation, and he will probably ride in next week's Tour de Switzerland, which starts and overlaps the Dauphiné. It's not possible to ride both, of course, and Armstrong in years gone by has won both events as he's prepared for his victorious days in the Tour de France. Well, the catch is all but there at 3 kilometres to go now. And it's time to move those cars away. If that time gap is to be believed, it should have gone a few minutes ago. It's more than 9 seconds, I think. Not very much more, I must say. This is Futson Cerveto on the front here. They've got a pretty good sprinter on their team in Kapaki. And Garmin Transitions also trying to move their men up to the front. They too without their top sprinter, Tyler Farrer. David Miller's the team leader, but he was very disappointed with his ride in the opening prologue. Slipped away a little bit. They don't really have a top sprinter on the squad. They've brought more riders to test in the mountains here and the time trials in the case of Miller. Johan van Summeren, his Garmin Transitions in the orange on the right. Looks like they're trying to move Gregor Bole up again on the right hand side, who's turning out to be quite a sprinter. He's pushing Geraint Thomas for the points competition. And they're certainly making a meal of this final catch on these very narrow good roads for a late escape, I must say. They still haven't closed it down, looking for the 2 kilometres to go banner now. All the cars have been pulled out of the gap. Bram Tanking sat off to the right of our picture. Let's Geraint Thomas moving up in the green jersey, also going to threaten in the sprint again today by the look of it, determined to hang on to that points competition. And that little rise in the road is going to cause a problem now, because this is the breakaway move here, just in case they can try and slip away before the finish. I don't know which one it was, but it looked to me as though it was Anthony Delaplace who made the move there from Seo-Sujon. Sky have got this one by the scruff of the neck now. They've obviously got a lot of confidence in Geraint Thomas coming home with the goods here. These two have been picked up. This is Auger on the front, who has surrendered, and it's the boys in black, Team Sky. Ooh, nasty move across the road there, but it's all worked out. That is Delaplace. Boysenhagen, another man who's looking for a performance as well for Team Sky here. Now it's every man for himself. One or two good sprinters, especially on Team Milram. Also got likely guys to cross swords, and that's under 1 kilometre to go now. The field are all together. Team Sky seem to be playing it just right, but they better watch out because we're now getting interruptions here from the Cervelo test team. They've got a good sprinter on their squad too, in the young German Martin Reimer. Team Cervelo then have put themselves on the front. Sky slipping into third and fourth wheel. Geraint Thomas perfectly positioned here. It will be a big win for this youngster if he could pull it off. And he's getting the perfect pull out to the line now, but he better watch out because Française de Jeu have got Sébastien Chavanel also there. He's the sprinter of the brothers. And Chavanel trying to force through. He's on the back wheel there of Geraint Thomas. No sign of Bollé at the moment, the Lampre rider. A break from the right now as they continue to race up towards the line now. This is going to be a very difficult sprint indeed, as Bollé seems to be boxed in on the far, and he's come through. It's JJ Haido who's taken it on the line, and that was a good sprint by JJ. It looked like Rima was second for Cervelo, and Bollé may have got through there to get third place, and in the end Thomas got swept away, and I don't think he will have made the top 6 with that finish. We might get a chance to see it again. There was the perfect lead out then. Chavanel takes it up here, followed by Reimer, the champion of Germany, moves up on the outside, and a terrific cruise through the inside, dodging all of the traffic and making it look very, very easy. That's a big result, and only the 4th win of the year for JJ. Started out with a win, in fact, in India, in Mumbai, back in February. So Haido gets it ahead of Reimer, Bollé, Chavanel, Kluger. And you have to go down to 9th to find Geraint Thomas there. All same time. JJ happy enough with that. He's 29 years of age now, JJ Haido. And that'll be his 49th win of his career. Contador, though, still heads up the yellow jersey competition. And for another day, no change in the overall at all. But the mountains are coming and things might change. Well, the Criterium du Dauphine has wasted no time putting in the race's reasonable time trial at 49 kilometres here. This is a stage 3 or day 4 of the event, and after today we're heading up towards them there hills. They're known as the Alps, and that's where the race could change. But today, I wonder whether Contador will try and surrender that yellow jersey, take the pressure off him for the mountains to come, or whether he'll go for a time and produce a ride like he did in the prologue a couple of days ago. But on the road to Sorg today, this is the situation at the moment. Boysenhagen's delivered the goods in 62 minutes. Denis Menchov, perhaps a favourite for the Tour de France, coming up in 2nd place. As we join now the surprise of the opening day, Brakovic, who really did challenge in the prologue time trial. He's fighting for a place on the Radio Shack team for the Tour de France, of course. And he is the champion of his country. So we'll see if he can deliver. Already on course is Alberto Contador, last to start. 22 teams, as always, in the Tour. Saxo Bank starting 1 rider short, but apart from that, a full field of 175 riders made the start. Now Contador testing himself all the time, searching for the form after his rest period that will carry him to another victory in the Tour de France. And the big names he'll be up against in the Tour de France, like Evans, like, we hope, like Armstrong, not riding this event. Choosing to steer clear until the big moment comes. And this is Brakovic still showing best time at the first check here at 15.5 kilometres, so he is living up to his prologue. Totally different type of a time trial, of course. The prologue, it was hilly, it was explosive, it was short, over 6 kilometres. Now this is different, but again, the surprise of that prologue, TJ Van Garderen doing tremendously well to retain a high position here if he can hold on to this. Only 15 seconds off the pace being set by Brajkovic. Brajkovic, 26 years of age, won't be 27 till December. Let's have a look what's happening down at the finish. Christian Knies coming home here, and off the pace of Boysenhagen. The youngster who seems to have been around already so long, he should be around 30, but he's not. He's barely turned 20. Boysenhagen keeps his lead convincingly, but Knies goes into third place. That's a good result for Milram. Rumours starting to circulate that this team will be out at the end of the year, which will be rather sad. They've not been in that long. Looking down at TJ Van Garderen, still holding on that 15-second deficit at the first point at 15.5 kilometres. Now there'll be no Tour de France place for TJ this year, but they might give him a crack at the Tour of Spain at the end of the year if he continues, because he started to mature really well. Short and sharp this, the mini Tour de France, chance to just compare himself against the big boys as he starts to progress with one of the most successful teams ever in HTC Columbia. That's the situation at the second check now. Miller's through there 16 seconds off Brajkovic, and Boysenhagen, who's down at the finish, 22 seconds there. So it looks as though Miller has reversed his slump in the prologue time trial. He may come in with a good time. Well, the Dauphiné does locate the beautiful area here. It really is a great race to follow. It doesn't have the press following on the road as the Tour de France or any other big race. It's a very, very friendly race. It's run in an area, and they use towns and places the Tour de France doesn't go because of its size, and it makes a very nice atmosphere for this event, and a good chance for good preparation for the upcoming Tour. That's why Contador is here. This incredible rider who continually shows us just how good he is at the stage races. Had a fairly quiet season, but he did manage to get the third place in Flèche-Wallonne and 10th in Liège-Bastogne-Liège, so he had a fairly good. Now this is the rival of Miller here, and this is going to be a best time because he's well inside Boysenhagen. He can see the finish, and this is a good result for the Garment Transitions leader. David Miller is going to go top of the leaderboard with this by 17 seconds, and he'd be pleased with that because he's beaten a class act in Boysenhagen. So that's a good result for David Miller, and that's more like the Miller of old. All he's got to worry about now is Alpe d'Huez and the mountains just around the corner. I wonder if Contador knows the time, or even if he cares of the time of David Miller right now. He just wants to see how well he's going for himself. There's the new leaderboard. Miller now on top. Now, if Brajkovic has kept up the pace here, he's going to be up on Miller. He certainly has looked very, very good. He's hoping for a ride in his first Tour de France this year. Johan Brunel is the man that will give the nod on that, but I'm not sure that Johan has got the confidence yet in Janus, so he needs to prove himself this week. Last man, the sweeper on the course, Alberto Contador. Was waiting to get some time checks on Alberto. Only leader of the Dauphiné since we started in Evian-les-Bains after he won the prologue. He was a bit surprised with his victory in the prologue, but he rode it so well. He had a high cadence, handled the hill with ease, took the shortest way around the corners, and the result was best time by 2 seconds. 27.5 years of age, Alberto. And so far this year, he's got himself 8 wins. TJ Van Garderen starting just ahead of Contador on the road. That's a daunting prospect, isn't it? When you're a new boy on the block and you've got the best bike rider in the world chasing you. This is Brajkovic. He's ahead of them both. Nice to get some time checks on him right now, though. Well, there we are. First at 43 minutes and 50 seconds at the 32 kilometres or 20-mile point. Brajkovic has got himself on top. I think we are partially expecting that today. He was all ready. There's a dress rehearsal for the Devil for the upcoming July, I guess. Poor imitation. As they see TJ go past. Now, TJ will be up on that time check shortly if they send it to us. But Brejkovic up on Miller as well now, so if he can hold the rhythm for about another 20 minutes, then he will be in before Miller's time. 62-minute ride for Miller. Contador, I think, just content to hold. I don't think he's going as fast indeed as Brejkovic. We haven't got an update on it, but we have now, and he isn't. 6th place only at 57 seconds, and that will be the loss to Brejkovic, who is through there with the best time. So Contador conceding almost a minute with 20 minutes to race. That could be a 90-second deficit on Brejkovic, and that would all well for Janus when we go to the high mountains. Stage finish on top of Alpe d'Huez, don't forget. I think he'd probably need 2 minutes on Contador to beat him up there. This is Verdugo, Euskaltel, Euskadi, slipping down to the list. 2:12 off the pace, but not a bad ride actually. 11th place for Verdugo. Gorka. You hear the voice there of Daniel Manjas, who's also the speaker of the Tour de France. Terrific enthusiast, has an incredible memory when he introduces the riders and performances at the start of the Tour de France, because he doesn't seem to refer to any notes. Now Contador, still, he must know by now his deficit, they'll have told him, but it hasn't affected his concentration, just holding his rhythm here. This is Brejkovic, who could be delivering the win and the surprise right now. That's a situation, everybody through at the second point. Brejkovic, Miller, Boysenhagen, TJ, Menchov and Contador. That could well be the order at the finish at this moment in time with about 20 minutes to run. And that victory, of course, if it is to be, by Brejkovic, will give him the yellow jersey of the Dauphiné. And here he comes, Brejkovic, running very, very quickly. He'll have just been catching Geraint Thomas there, just in front. As Brejkovic comes in with the best time of 1:1. He's not quite there yet. The clock won't stop till we get through to the next man. Here he comes, but it's certainly the best time. Then it's how much has he gained over Contador. Hits the line in 1:1:51, 26 beating of David Miller. Miller will be a bit disappointed with that, but he shouldn't be. Brejkovic is on fire this week, it seems. He's all ready for the Tour de France if he gets the nod. Champion of Slovenia lives up to it. Now, if the time checks prevail to the finish, he's the winner of the stage and the next Maillot Jaune. So Contador, the longer time trial, I think, probably showing his shortfall in form just now as he builds up for the Tour de France. Got away with it in the prologue, 2 bunch sprints, meant he kept his jersey, but now the race of truth, as it so often is delivering the answers now. There's the situation at the finish. Brejkovic making Radio Shack look very good at the moment. And if Brejkovic wins this, the first man on the telephone, I'm sure, will be Lance Armstrong to congratulate him. And TJ continues to deliver the surprises here. 4th now at 30 seconds. He's going to remain in a high overall situation. It's been a long, old, lonely ride today for Alberto Contador. And there's 5 guys getting in quicker than him. Remember, he was the winner of the time trial, not too far away from here in the Tour de France last year. Well, a little bit further now, not too far away from the start, I should have said, really, in Evian-les-Bains. TJ Van Garderen, the new boy on the block for HTC Columbia. They lost Boysenhagen over the winter to the Sky team. He may have found a new boy in the making here, blooding him for the future perhaps.
fourth place finish against this quality of field would be simply outstanding by Van Garderen. He's only 21 years of age. A tricky old backstreet approach to the finish here. Keep away from those gratings in the middle. They're lying the wrong way for bicycle wheels. Here he comes, lining up for the finish now. He's sitting there in third position against the time at the line of Brakovic. Is he going to hang on? Still got a couple of one rider to finish behind him, so he's in fourth place at the moment. And he's up on Contador, so that might be his final position, but he's slotted home in fourth, just under a minute behind Brakovic. So he's going to keep a fairly high overall standing here. May only drop one place, if at all. 1 kilometre out. When Van Garderen has finished, this is where we pick up Alberto, and Alberto Contador now. He must know now he's going to wave farewell to that jersey because his time has gone by of Brakovic. So he's going to be running about 90 seconds away from the time of Brakovic at the finish. Or even more. That's been an outstanding ride by Janusz. Situation at the finish is Janusz Brakovic, David Miller, Boysenhagen, TJ Van Garderen and Denny Menchov. They're the top 5 in the house. And this man may be slotting in at number 6. I don't think he can even catch it with Menchov. Menchov also has got himself a lead of about 30 seconds on him at the last check. There's the tricky approach here as we run up towards the finish. Chance for the locals to see the maillot jaune of the Tour de France last year coming home now. This bronze medal position last year in this event, he finished third. And Contador is home now. Well, he will be in a second. And look at the time as against Brakovic. He's going to lose nearly 1 3/4 minutes here, and maybe more. And that's maybe curtains for him too as far as that final maillot jaune goes. That's a big buffer now, 1:45.76. That'll be rounded up to 1:46 deficit overall to Janusz Brakovic. So let's have a look. There's the situation on the day. Brakovic, Miller, Boysenhagen, Van Garderen, an excellent fourth place. Radio Shack get themselves a big result today. This year's new team. And Brakovic can step off and step back on the podium very, very quickly as the new leader of the Dauphiné Libéré. And there he is. Again, you can hear Daniel Manjas giving him the famous line from the Tour de France as Brakovic now becomes the leader of the Tour. And we go on to stage number 4. The red-topped houses, pretty typical of the region here. Saint-Paul, Trois-Châteaux to Rissoul today. The longest stage of the race this, day 5, stage 4, 210 kilometres. And a real sting in the tail. We'll see the beauty of the countryside, but it's all at the end at Rissoul where we have a 12-kilometre climb up to the finishing line today. And nothing too much to upset the rhythm out on the highway. One side of the department to the other. The two riders who have set the trend virtually all day, they got away after around about 30 kilometres today. Danny Pate of Garmin Transitions, the American rider, and Stefan Denifl also in here for the Cervelo test team. And there you can see as we climb steadily up towards the finishing line today. These two boys have hung on to a 2-minute 53 second lead, but it's coming down all the time now. We've just started the climb up towards the finish. Out on the course today, Danny Pate and Stefan Denifl, they just shared the 2 sprints along the way at Rosin and Sorg. But now it's all about the win, and it's every man for himself. Not troubled so far in his yellow jersey is the new leader in Janusz Brakovic. Radio Shack will look after him as best they can. They've got a good team here actually, including Jaime Zubeldia, a big veteran from the Tour de France. And this is the way they're packing here. There's going to be an explosion on this climb as to get this. Going to be high tempo riding just now. The green jersey being worn at the moment by Geraint Thomas again, back in point. He'd loaned it to Bolle just for a day. Bram Tankink remains the leader in the King of the Mountains as well, which is a good result for the Rabobank riders so far. 2:42 coming down second by second, 12 kilometres. The climb will start to bite all the way up now. This isn't really Danny Pate's forte. He's a great time trialist, of course, and a very strong and aggressive rider for Garmin. But no big results for Danny this year. And again, it's Team Sky who seem to be confident here, both in Boysenhagen and in Geraint Thomas. Thomas on second wheel. Sky may have a little plan here to see what they can do about it. They've got a good team, but their leader, I think indisputably, wears the 1 on his number, 141, that's Eddie Boysenhagen. Geraint Thomas has shown us that he's coming nice for a crack at the Tour de France again. Already ridden the Tour de France for the now defunct, sadly, Barlow World, which was registered in Britain but very much a South African squad. And Danny here has said enough is enough, falling off the pace at 11.5 kilometres to climb up to the finish. Situation 47th overall, nearly 5.5 minutes behind Brakovic, because Danny held his own in the time trial yesterday, of course. Very good time trial rider, but Denifl just seeing if he can ride away on his own here. Still no sign of the Radio Shack red jerseys, giving Brakovic a handout. They're leaving the pressure on Sky here to do all of the chasing. Not sure that's a particularly good idea. I would think that Brakovic will fight to keep the lead in this race, and he's got a nice buffer over the rest of the field after that time trial. You can see the gap though coming down, still 11 kilometres and virtually 2 minutes the gap now. It's never going to survive on the climb. It probably would have survived if it had been on the flat, but they've gambled everything on chasing down the breakaways today, and they only allowed two riders clear of this field over a 5-hour day of racing. Denifl cheered on for Cervelo. Only 22 years of age. And he comes from Austria, so he knows what the Alps are like, but the Austrian side of them. This should be a big move for him, and it would be an incredible result for the youngster. He's holding, he's resisting now because we've gone inside 11 and the gap is still just over 2 minutes. Geraint Thomas in the green points leaders jersey there. Still looking very, very determined here, but he seems to be playing the team man here, concentrating on Boysenhagen and putting him in a possible winning position. Just a steady climb this. It doesn't compare with the likes of Alpe d'Huez. This is a much more of a racing climb up to the finishing line rather than a heavy grind like the Alpe itself. But after 200 kilometres, when you hit the bottom of this climb, it's going to hurt. As you can see, the peloton staying pretty much all together. Our camera's not going to the back to see what sort of carnage is back there, but I have noted now that Brakovic has been brought to the front by two teammates, putting him in a good position, expecting an attack against him in the last 4 to 5 kilometres of the day, I'm sure. 10 kilometres to go, 2:03 the gap. He's not only holding it, he's nudged out a second here. And now the attacks have started. This is a B-Box Boy Telecom, rider going off the front, being chased by Leaky Gas. Now that will start the reactions from the field, I think. This is very typical now, as they start to see who's paying attention, take advantage perhaps of a little bit behind in the overall classification. At 10 kilometres, 2:03 the gap. So this boy's riding at a very, very strong tempo, the 22-year-old Austrian, and he's holding the peloton at their distance. Another little acceleration from the front. Looks like a Katusha rider. Could be Overkeen here. Started to put a move in. And Katusha themselves also looking to get a little bit of a result out of this. I think that was Laszlo Bedrogi, in fact, who's gone through for Katusha. Bit of an unusual attack from him. He must be feeling frisky. He's only ever won time trials in his life as a professional. Hasn't actually won a race since 2008, when it was the National Time Trialling Championship of Hungary. And I believe he's now changed his nationality to French. Chris Horner now, typically with his full jersey unzippered here. One of the strongest boys on the bike circuit, Chris Horner, and what a workhorse to have on your team right now for Brakovic. This is going to be lifting the pace now, but even so, hats off to Stefan Denefil, because you look at the time gap, he's holding his own. They're not closing in on him at all. They're trying, they're falling back. But this is a very, very fine show of defiance here, and he's taken a big gamble. He had to go right at the bottom of the climb, he felt. Pate wasn't going to be able to work with him, so he's gone on his own. He's sorted himself out, but Drogi's going back into the pack. I think he's been the National Time Trialling Championship forever. Well, at least for the last 10 seasons. He won it back in 2000. He's never lost it since. He might be the only one taking part in Hungary, I'm not too sure. They're putting a lot of pressure on Horner's shoulders here now. He's volunteered to do the heavy pacing at the early part of the climb. This is the benefit of a strong team. Horner certainly on the Tour de France team, which he'll enjoy. He hasn't been to the Tour de France for a couple of years. And happy to be back, I'm sure, alongside Armstrong. And I suspect it will very, very definitely be Lance's last Tour de France. I think we said that back in 2005 though. The last time Chris Horner rode the Tour de France back in 2007, he was 15th, an incredibly good performance. But it's taken him 3 years to get back into the mix and go back with Radio Shack. Now he's dropped back for the moment into second place. Reinforcements have come. Brakovic looks good. Big move this for Janusz, or Yanni as they call him. Trying now to land what would be an incredible victory if he can do it. But we won't know the answer to that until we get to the top of Alpe d'Huez, because that's where surely Contador will test his legs. Whether he's out to win this race or not, he'll want to know how he can climb Alpe d'Huez. And we're in the shadows of it right now. Well, I take my hat off here to Stefan Denefil, because he has not lost a single second in the last 3 kilometres. He's climbing at exactly the same speed as the peloton. Good racing climb, but will his legs hang out for what is just over 5 more miles? To Rissoul. One thing's for sure, Radio Shack have taken on the responsibility of race leadership now. They've put the riders on the front. The other teams have admitted that they can do it, and they've fallen back to plan their moves a little bit further up the climb. It's a big advantage for Janusz Brakovic. So I would think that he will just try to limit any losses today. He knows the showdown will be on the Alp, which is on Saturday, which is the penultimate day of the race. We are going to see constant attacks from these riders now. Christophe Lemaivel, best finisher in the Tour de France of France. Last year he was 9th. And like everybody else, keen to know just how good his form is. Somebody's gone up ahead of him there for a leaky gas. In fact, I think I said, did I say he was 9th? He was 10th in the Tour de France last year, best French place rider. He's climbed nicely up to the leaky gas boy. That was Jacopo Guarnieri, who's been put back in his place. We didn't even see him attack, I don't think, but it's 2 minutes exactly now, based on the pack behind, not this rider here, Lemaivel. Almost exactly 8 kilometres to climb up to the finish. Well, they're throwing one rider after another up the road, but they're not really getting much closer just now. We've come inside 2 minutes for the first time. Nice relaxed style here of Denefel, who's doing all he can do now, concentrate on his rhythm, try and maintain the pace, and just hope they let him go. Good steady tempo, but if you look down the back of the peloton, to me it doesn't look as though it's thinning out that much just now. So there's still other boys here riding within their zone. Now another Cofidis rider here launching an attack. And that looks as though it could be just behind him there. I think it could be Igor Martinez who's come through for Euskaltel-Euskadi. And this is beginning to look like it might be a bigger move from the climbers of the race. That's caused quite a reaction from the field here, so I think this is Igor Martinez as he starts to get clear. Now that will cause a reaction from the field. He used to be on the same side as Lance Armstrong in the earlier days. Now he's moved across to the Basque team. So Martinez now will cause a little bit of consternation, I suspect, here, because this is a very serious move by the Spanish rider. Once lost a stage of the Tour de France, which was in Italy a couple of years ago, to Simon Gerrans, and felt very aggrieved by that. Big points for the King of the Mountains at the top. No sign of Bram tanking, but I don't think he'd be mixing it with these class of climbers. Last year Martinez won the King of the Mountains in the Tirreno Adriatico, but he didn't have much more in the way of results. He's a very good team man. Once led the Tour of Spain for 4 days a couple of years ago, and he's won the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Spain as well. So he must be considered now a threat with the hilly roads ahead for the next couple of days. Gap has come down a little bit, heading down toward inside 7 kilometres now. Face of the Austrian, who is beginning to look as though he really is now under pressure. He will know the flurry of attacks behind. These roads narrow, beautiful, excellent places for going bike riding when you're not on the route of the Tour de France, because they're not used that often, only by local traffic. Horner's still trying to do his bit here. They worry a little bit about Martinez, but not overly. Not for the moment anyway. They'll expect an attack. I don't think they will expect an attack from Contador, because I don't think he will attack today. I don't think he's going to try and bridge a minute and 41 today. So you've got to watch out for a move like that coming from Igor. There's all the numbers for you and all the gaps that were spread across. How on earth the rider takes all that lot in, I don't know when he's under pressure, but at least he'll know there's 4 guys chasing on their own behind him, and then the peloton just there on their wheel. Well, we haven't seen 4 riders to my knowledge. We've seen Martinez certainly. Laurent Mangel, 104th overall from the Seyeux Jeune. This is Igor Martinez, who's really going to stretch them now if he continues like this. As far as we can see, we've just got Martinez there, and judging by that wind, that's why they're staying all together. It's more or less on their faces, it's holding them together. Laurent Lefebvre from B box also just ahead, and he might, if that's Martinez just behind, then he's going to be joined by Igor Martinez. That could make a very useful strong duo here. This rider now he's just living in a dream now. He's just hoping that these boys don't react too much. It looks as though the peloton are dragging Igor Martinez back into the bunch here. That looks like it's Overkeen of Katusha also trying to get off the front. And it looks as though Radio Shack are now doing just enough. Aston have moved their men forward. Remember, they're the team of Contador. And that peloton, under these constant attacks, has thinned out a little bit. Is this Overkeen here? Yes, Artem Overkeen. He's 4 minutes off the pace, so they won't chase him down too readily just yet. They'll just keep the composure, keep the concentration. Let these boys cross swords, but Overkeen has now joined Martinez. Meanwhile, the lonely figure, which is coming down to 1:38 now, and still a long way to go up this interminable climb to the finish. This really is going to be a tough one now for him to survive, and he knows it. He's in and out of the saddle all the time. He's sensing he's losing his rhythm a little bit. Stefan Denefil, I doubt very much he'll survive to the end, but let's wish him luck because he's made the effort from the bottom, but he's been in the lead a long time today, and those legs must be screaming. Well, this is Martinez, but what happened to Overkeen? He's either gone in front and got rid of Igor, or he's gone back into the pack. A little bit short on cameras. We'll find out. That pack has clearly quickened the tempo back there because it's gone smaller and they're picking up all the riders slipping off the front. And it's having its effect. Heading down to 90-second escape now. Heading towards 5 kilometers to go, 3 miles still to climb. Denefil trying to put his name on the mast here as a big winner. Been a pro now since 2007, but this is his first chance to ride on a top team like Cervelo for Stefan Denefil. He rode for the small Elk House team since he turned pro for 3 years, where he won a couple of races, including the National Time Trial Championship back in 2008 of Austria. He's never had a major win. Looks as though Euskaltel are changing partners at the front here. You have to hand it to this nearly all Basque cycling team, Euskaltel Euskadi, because they really do race, and their favourite terrain is the mountains of the world, and whenever they get the chance they take off on them. This is Sam Sanchez, who's having a little dig now, Olympic champion in Beijing. An acceleration here by Sanchez. I wonder if Martinez had softened the load just with this planned attack in mind. Oh, sorry, it's Ivan Velasco. They keep jumping around to orange jerseys, but Velasco, well, I don't know much about him at all. Maybe the peloton don't. And again, we've gone into that period now where they've picked up a lot of the big attacking names. They've gone back into the little high-tempo slumber, and it's 4.8 at 1:35. Still a chance. Slim one, but a chance. And look how small the peloton is now. Halfway, more than halfway, 2/3 of the way up the climb. The peloton has reduced in size to maybe 35 riders here. The Omega Farmer rider there, Jurgen van den Broek, just tucked in the white jersey on the left of our picture, testing his legs for the Tour de France. Contador also in the area of the riders here, happy enough to let his team do most of the pacemaking. Brakovic is there in yellow, not looking like a man about to surrender yellow tonight now, and time running out for them all at 4.6 kilometers to go. This looks like an attack out for a rider from Sky. And this is oh yes it is. This is Sylvain Calzati. He needs to do some good performances for Sky. He hasn't done much this year. If he wants a place on the Tour de France squad, he's really got to show he's got the form this week. Well, they keep on throwing the hammer down and just trying, and it doesn't happen for them, does it? Let's see what happens this time. Calzati goes. I think Radio Shack have ridden a pretty intelligent ride up this mountain. They've monitored who's attacking as and when, usually seeing just the odd individual go up the road rather than a group. And so they're not panicking, and that'll be the guidance of Chris Horner, steadying the field here. One of the oldest riders in the race, Horner, is pushing up towards 40 now. He's just a bit younger than Lance Armstrong, not a lot, but still an incredibly strong cyclist. 1:25, 4.3 left. He's been in the lead for a long time, but on his own since the start of this climb. A welcome sight, but he'd like it to say 1 kilometre, I think, just now. Stefan Denefel. 1.5 kilometres a minute at 4 kilometres to go. Marginally possible. Calzati's being brought back into the fold here. Again, the hill has kicked up a little bit just now. Horner comes through on the right. The strength of Astana amassing right behind him now. Brakovic going to feel a little uncomfortable. The grimace of Chris Horner, who seems to be absolutely enjoying his cycling again. Horner will be 39 years of age in October, so he'll ride the Tour de France at 38, just a little bit younger than Armstrong, who'll be 39 in September. The dreaded minute approaches here, and then they'll pounce. 3.7 to go. Absolutely tremendous day's racing for Denefel, whatever way it works out for him, because the Austrian really has taken his chance today. Another attack here now, coming from, surely it's not Bram Tankner, it can't be Bram Tankner, he'd be in the leader's jersey of the King of the Mountains today. This is an attack though by Rabobank. I think it's Denny Menchoff from the look of it. You're probably getting a better picture than I am, but it is Dennis Menchoff who's made a move. Now this will cause a reaction, surely. Menchoff was up in the time trial yesterday, rapidly gets up to the Euskedel rider, and he's got a Cervelo man locked in on his back wheel there. This is a big move, I think. That's Oscar Pujol of Cervelo who's come up behind him. Astana are the boys who are recognising the strong move here because they've taken over from Radio Shack, which is significant, I think, because we were told that Contador wasn't too worried about winning the race, just testing himself. Maybe the team are practicing for what they're going to have to do in the Tour de France as well, for Contador. So they're hard riding at the front now. Brakovic doesn't look under any trouble at all, as he's now realised that this is the pressure point. It's coming around 3.5 kilometres from the top. Heart rate monitors visible on all of the Astana rides. They unzipped their jumpers here, their jerseys. Jurgen van der Walle is looking good, or Van den Broek I think it is, on the right there in white. That's Jurgen van den Broek, and the yellow jersey of Brakovic. Well, it's all closing in very, very quickly, isn't it now? Because we're looking at the desperation moments for Stefan Denefel, because a very select chase is now on behind him, and they got away very quickly. So this really will hurt what's left of that peloton now, because the big boys have moved to the front. Again, no real attack coming from Brakovic. He's doing what he has to do now. His team have fallen away from the front, Radio Shack. He's marking the men that matter. He's riding it like a champion just now. Not his job to make any effort other than follow wheels. Sounds easy, doesn't it? Van den Broek just locked in alongside him. Astana themselves have got Daniel Navarro up here, and Dmitry Fofanov. And that peloton is almost hard because they've got a big split in it just at the moment. Desperate climbing now, really flat out stuff this now, and only the fittest will survive. We've lost the distance to go, but we can't be that far, a couple of kilometres I would think, up to the finish. This is the little group here. Denny Menchov leading Pujol. This is B-Box Lefebvre going back in. Life's got a little bit too hot up there. And looking in the distance, you can see them coming now, and this rider still won't give up. Stefan Denefel beneath the Breton flag. As slowly, one by one, the peloton being driven now by Contador's Astana boys, wiping out the breakaways, closing in. Time to perfection, I wonder. Pujol here. Every time we look at him, he doesn't seem to be able to work with Denny Menchov. It's a big test for Menchov. Second in the Giro d'Italia last year. He wore the pink jersey in that event for 10 days. He's always looked for a good ride in the Tour. His highest ever finished third back in 2008. He's twice a winner of the Tour of Spain. Stage wins in every Grand Tour. And now it looks as though he's going to be the first to catch the courageous Stefan Denefel, that's for sure. And he's not going to get a place because the peloton are right there with them. And he won't have the legs to hang on now. Once they go by him, and about 2.5 kilometres to go to the finish, that's all at the most. Pujol looks across here. At least Denefel has done his job well. Pujol on the same team. It's an immediate attack here. It looks as though it's Offikin again from Katusha. May have hit the two boys at the right time. Maybe they just can't pick it up. 2.3 kilometres to go. Good attack by the Russian. Denefel will slowly fall down here, but the Astana boys just doing their job here now, limiting everybody's escape. Brakovic is going to feel happy. He's going to take a big fillip from the fact he's nearly at 2 kilometres from the summit, and got Contador right under control. This will climb right up to the finishing line. There's no real respite to the top of the climb today into Rissoul. And it's been a long, long way up this hill. Not as steep perhaps as the Alp, but as you can see, good deal of attacking coming now. Tour de France imprinted on the minds of these big names, thinking, how's the form feeling? This is what we're going to have to go through in the month of July. And one or two, like Brekovic, fighting for a place on the team. Calzati was short-lived there. I don't think he's going to make the team for the Tour de France unless he really does do something special. For Sky, everybody just looking at each other here. Vaugondi is there now. Former champion of France on the right for B-Box. Looking particularly strong today, Nicolas. No results for him today, or this year rather, but he was second overall and won a stage at the Rhône-Alpes Isère last year. Looks like he might be launching an attack here because he's certainly warming up for it, Nicolas Vaugondi. Well, that's good to see. The Frenchman, the last French winner, by the way, of the Dauphiné was Christophe Moreau back in 2007. And then as defending champion, I seem to remember the organisers not selecting his team the following year. Well, he's riding this time around. But this is the other Frenchman, former French champion, Nicolas Vaugondi, who'll be 33 years of age in August, and he's now hit them possibly at the right time at 1.5 kilometres to go. Brekovic just following Contador. Not worried about attacking. Vaugondi's no threat to the yellow jersey. Up into the dizzy heights now. 4 riders trying to get clear here. Get on to the action at the back. Familiar sight that, isn't it? The long, slender Contador, but not quite up to his game yet in the mountains. So as they continue here with Brekovic content to follow, he's not going to go anywhere. If he gets half a chance here, he'll just maybe snatch a second on the finishing line, but he's not going to worry about it. That's Rainy Taramay, champion of Estonia, in the black top jersey there. He's now into second wheel. And just this looks like Roman Sicard has got himself up here now. Turn pro for Euskaltel. He's a French Basque actually, but he joined the Spanish Basque squad. I believe he doesn't actually speak the Basque language, but he comes very close from their side of the Pyrenees. Won the under-23 road race title in Mendrisio in Switzerland last year and immediately turned pro. Can't defend that title this year, though he would qualify because he's now part of the Pro Tour, and the Pro Tour riders can't ride the under-23 events. So Sicard now pushing on at the front in pursuit of Vaugondi as they go under 1 kilometre to go. This could be a big result for Nicolas Vaugondi. As he pushes on, Nicolas, veteran Tour de France rider, he's ridden it 6 times. No doubt on the squad again this year. Never won a stage of the Tour. In fact, his best ever finish 62nd back in 2008. But he's always finished the Tour, all 6 occasions. Now, Roman Sicard yet to be thinking of the Tour de France, and it won't be this year for him, as the youngster now steals a march over the group, which is preoccupied here with the battle between Contador and Brekovic. No wins at all for Vaugondi this year, but they'll want to see action from this team, the Tour de France organisers, this week, because they've taken a gamble. They've given them a ride in the Tour de France because they were downgraded last year. And a little move here. This has got to be Van den Broek. Again, another man who could challenge in the mountains in the Tour de France, one of the few Belgians who can climb the high mountains. And there's the acceleration now of Contador. That is the Alberta we've come to love and know, with a tremendous kick. But mouth open, Brekovic has answered the call here. Taramay is tucked in onto third wheel. That'll hurt the lead of Vaugondi, but Vaugondi is climbing steadily to what should be a great first win of the year here. Another counter move from Denis Menchov. Caught them on the back wheel just a little bit because they were recovering from the acceleration of Contador. None of it's going to hurt Nicolas Vaugondi, the former champion of France. He'd been the time trial champion of France as well in 2007. They got a bronze medal then. He was the road race champion in 02 and again 2 years ago. And now this is a major win for him. At the top of a mountain climb in Rissoul, it's going to feel pretty good, to say the least. This is a superb ride and a big victory for France as well. Chased all the way home by the newcomer from France, Roman Sicard. That's his best result since he turned pro at the end of last season for Euskaltel. He will get second. And look at this, Brakovic is going to nudge out Contador here for third. The confidence of the man. Taname crosses the line fifth. Pierre Roland, B-box there in sixth. Good day for B-box. And all of these guys gap by time now, which is good for Brakovic. There's the result, very briefly, wasn't it? So you'll take my word on the order over the line there. But this is Nicolas Vaugandy. His interview at the finish. I can't hear it, not if you can, but I'm quite sure he's speaking in French. 33 years of age in August, and that was his 24th win of his career. But overall, Janusz Brakovic keeps the maillot jaune, and in fact is looking pretty comfortable in it with the big mountain still to come. A minute 15 over TJ Van Gordon as we head on to stage number 5. And looking out here at, again, the typical red-roofed houses here. Comparatively short stage this, but it's far from easy. Leading the ski station at Serre-Chevalier, heading towards Grenoble. Serre-Chevalier not too far up the road from Gap, actually. It's only 143 kilometres, but we do have a little matter of climbing the Col de Lauteret. And then the big battle of Chamrus towards the end, which was once a triumphant scene for Lance Armstrong in a time trial of the Tour de France. So let's join the action here now. There has been a breakaway for most of the day. It's been a big one, but it's beginning to crack up a little bit now. This is a Daniel Navarro here, who wasn't in the original move, but he's now starting to get himself up towards the front. With just 3 kilometres left to go over the top of the Lauteret. It was the breakaway that led over there. Surprisingly, Eros Kopecky ahead of Luis Passamontes of Caisse d'Epargne, Thibaut Pinot of Française des Jeux, Dimitri Champion, AG2R, and Igor Martinez over in 5th. But it's all come together now, and it's reopened up again as we start the slopes of Chamrus here. Astana playing a little bit of a card, I think, because Daniel Navarro here, he's 26 years of age, or he will be in just on the start of the Tour de France in July, and I reckon he'll make the team with a performance like this. He had a good year last year, being chased by survivors of the breakaway, Pinot and Kopecky. I don't think they'll stay out front much longer though. AG2R is starting to whip up the pace here as well. Brakovic leading this race in yellow and on points now after yesterday's ride, getting that 3rd place finish. Tankink is still the king of the mountains, but he's set to lose that now to Kopecky, especially if Kopecky finishes off with a result on this climb. This has been a brave move by Astana as well. Interesting one. Contador knows that he may as well take the pressure off himself. Daniel Navarro is a very, very good climber. If he does get in the Tour, he'll be one of the main men to pace-make for Contador in the mountains, particularly these mountains. 31st overall in the Tour of Italy last year, 13th in the Tour of Spain, but the only time he's ever ridden the Tour de France, I'm talking about Daniel Navarro up front, was in 2007. They pulled him out for some reason on the rest day, which was after stage 15. So he almost got to the end of the Tour, but then he withdrew. And there he is now, going for himself. He's never won a race in his life, not as a pro. Started in 2005 with Liberty Seguros, stayed with him in 06 and came to Astana in 07. But it looks as though he's about to break his duck. 3 minutes the gap on the big chase, 2.1 rather kilometres left to go. Just coming on to 2 kilometres now. This is an interesting move for him. Pinot and Kopecky, survivors of the original breakaway, hanging on in there. Dimitri Champion was in the front group. He's fallen back now, and it's his AG2R team who we just saw setting up the pace there to try and close down this gap. The biggest that break ever got was 5:15. Well, tomorrow the boys go mountaineering up Alpe d'Huez, and for that reason alone I suspect that Brakovic and Contador are trying to get an easier day as possible, but they're up near the frontier of the peloton just at the moment, being spearheaded by Kofidis. Bram Tankink, if he doesn't get up to Kopecky, will be out of the leader's jersey. You know, we haven't seen him anyway after that early breakaway on day one, gave him the lead. On day two, rather. There's the 1 kilometre to go now for Astana, and if it can't be Contador, then why not Daniel Navarro? This will be his first ever win as a pro, and I don't think I'm preempting what might not happen because he's too far clear now. He's still over a minute ahead. The two boys behind are only seconds, just over half a minute, but the gap back to the chase and the remnants of a break, minute 39. The peloton are even further back. They're losing over 3 minutes, so they've not closed in really, because there's nobody up here going to affect the yellow jersey. It's going to a battle of the mountains tomorrow. And the last day is not easy either. Back in 1980, the last day into Solange, it's using most of the course we used for the World Championships that day in 1980. I was there. Boy, it was a vicious course. It was simply a war of attrition, and in the end it became a battle between Barrichello and Robert Miller, and Eno just blew them all away as they approached the last lap. So Daniel Navarro, enjoy the moment. It's taken a while in coming, since 2005 when he turned professional. Celebrates his 26th birthday in the first few days of the Tour de France this year, but now he celebrates being a winner of a major event. So enjoy the moment. The Spanish rider coming home. Victory number one. He's on the big team. He's on the big team because he's an extremely good domestique. He really is strong in the mountains. Today was his day. You won't worry too much about the clock here. Now Kopecky is in second place. There's King of the Mountains points here. If he takes second, that'll be enough to give him a lead in the King of the Mountains competition. So one jersey will change shoulders today. And he's going to have a go for it. He feels he's got to. It's not so much the second place as the points he requires, but it's a good result also for Futon Cerveto. And Thibaut Pinot of Française des Jeux gets the third place finish there. They're about half a minute down. There's the winner, Daniel Navarro. In the distance there, looking rather pensive, Philippe Soudre, the boss of the television and written press of the Tour de France. So just make sure everything is according to protocol with the press, keeps them in order, does Philippe. This is the chase coming in now. Christophe Moreau, the man that won this race back in 2007 in French team colours, now coming home on the Spanish team colours here of Case de Pan. He'll be pleased with his form as well. It looks as though Kofidis are whipping things up as well. And this is Moreau having a little dig for the line, but I don't think he's going to win this sprint. It looks as though Dimitri Champion is going to take it out. Is he going to take it out? Yes, another kick by Moreau. Won't like the youngster beating him, but he is getting nearly 40 years of age. Champion just gets in ahead of Igor Martinez. Moreau gets 6th. This is Biel Kadri from AG2R here. In second wheel, I think he is, Kadri. Boy, this has been well split up, and it's the riders who aren't affecting the overall who slipped away from the front of the peloton, while the in-battlers continued as we get to the eve of Alpe d'Huez. B-box Pierre Roland on the right. 2.5 minutes has gone by, no sign of the peloton. And it's Kadri who looks as though he's going to get it ahead of Pierre Roland. Luis Pasamontes there. There's the gap, and here comes the peloton. Green jersey being worn still by Geraint Thomas, although at the moment it's on the shoulders of Brakovic. But I think a good finish by Geraint here gets him to wear him for himself again tomorrow. And he's certainly challenging for these points. There's a few left just in the points competition, but the sprint there taken out by Lamprey, and that'll be Bolle, the young sprinter who's having a great tour. So there's the result of the day. Short stage at just under 3.5 hours. Decisive for Navarro though. He's got his first big win as a pro after all those years. And I think Contador will be delighted his teammates on the winner's podium. Looks a little bit like him, doesn't he, really? In the face. Legs aren't quite as good. And this is the situation overall. Brakovic keeps the same here. Van Garderen, Contador, David Miller holds on to 4th. Vogandy, who came up to 5th, sits there now. Menchov is in 6th. Top 10 completed by the champion of Estonia, Taramay. Now, what will happen tomorrow? He's got time in hand. Will it be enough for the Battle of Alpe d'Huez? 290 kilometres remaining of the near 1100 of this year's Dauphiné, and the one today just on 150 kilometres, and we're heading to Alpe d'Huez via the top of the Col de Grand Crucheron and the top of the Col de Glandon, and then it's all downhill till we get to the base of the Alpe itself. It should be the decisive stage. It's all on the shoulders of Brakovic now. He's got to watch the man of the mountains, Alberto Contador. But it won't necessarily be finished today, because tomorrow's last stage is no giveaway, believe me. This is not a day like we're pottering up to the Arc de Triomphe tomorrow on flat roads. As we join the action here, the breakaway that's been on for a lot of the day here. Igor Martinez went over the top of the Col de Crucheron ahead of Cyril Gauthier and Stéphane Denifel. He's back in the action, that boy. And over the top of the Col de Glandon, Igor again at the control of affairs. But now it's about the Battle of the Alpe here. And the man who's formerly the king of the mountains in this event, Rémi Di Gregorio, Française de Jeu, is still riding on the front of the climb. He was in the breakaway all day. It's a question now whether the pack will start to pull back these boys. Oscar Pujol also here. Rohrigger of Team Milram. All forming the break of the day, as it were, hoping they could survive to the top of the Alpe. Well, I doubt it. Not when you look at the gap at 12.9 kilometres there on the climb. We're leaving Bourg d'Oisans. The backdrop is absolutely magnificent, and I'm afraid the road in front is very, very cruel. And Astana delivering Alberto Contador to the base of the slopes. How many times have we seen this happen in the days of Lance Armstrong for the battle to commence? Yellow jersey of Brakovic, big pressure on the young man's shoulders now. Boy, can you imagine how he must feel knowing the ability of Contador, knowing that Contador will attack today, knowing that the riders up front really don't matter. It's all about those two riders now as to who is in yellow tonight. This climb starts very steeply as we leave Bourg d'Oisans. Keeps flicking right and left on the hairpin bends. It levels out a little bit about 5 kilometres from the top of the climb. This is Liquigas having a little dig as well. Sylvester Schmidt, I think it is. Looks like him. Pujol. Well, the climb is such a selective one. As now they're just being selected one by one to show their faces at the camera before it rears up, slaps them in the face and pushes them down behind that yellow car. Oscar Pujol flying the flag for Cervelo, again taking advantage, having had his teammate Denifil in the early attack today like he did the other day. Remy Di Gregorio. Not quite the crowds of the Tour de France, but this is a great time of the year to follow a bike race in the month of June. All of the slopes in the Alps clear of the snows of the winter as Pujol pushes on here, just hoping he can stay away. And he might, because the boys in the pack are going to go in fighting, not really too worried. Sylvester Schmidt here of Liquigas. Geraint Thomas, rightfully the points leader again after yesterday, tagged on to the back of this group just for the moment. Gert Dox is the rider just in front of him, I think, and Konstantin Sifsu rather. Number 34, Artem Ovakin of Katusha. The pace being set by Astana now as the road rears up just that little bit. We'll probably see quite a bit of Daniel Navarro now, but not to win the day, just to lift the pace up high enough for perhaps Contador to attack. One after another now, the riders are breaking off the back of the pack here, and it's the relentless chase of Astana. Not really chasing, just lifting the pace high to try and hurt those with them in the peloton. And Brakovic is up for the battle right now, sitting up behind Contador. Jurgen van den Broek just down the line there as well. This is life at the back as they're shredded one by one. Johan van Sommeren slipping through for Garmin Transitions as well. Leader of Team Katusha here, Vladimir Gusev. The Goose used to be a teammate of Lance Armstrong, also in more than a spot of bother right now. And it's all under this, the impetus of these riders. Champion tucked over to the right of our picture there, still there for France. The yellow jersey of Brakovic looks as though he's only got one teammate, and it's Chris Horner down there who's riding just behind him. Now clearly this is the move to try and break Brakovic. There's room on the mountain. They're looking for 1 minute and 3/4 really. Pujol is the rabbit up front. 55 seconds, 12 kilometres, that's all uphill, right to the finishing line, no respite. Gets a little bit easier around the village itself, about 5 kilometres from the summit. But only for a few yards. Nicolas Vogandy here, slipping away on the left of our picture. Champion. There's a nice view of the Alp. Any which way will do, as long as it's up. Well, all of a sudden we've got about 15 riders left in the group here, and it's nothing to do with Contador yet, just his team. If Contador's going to attack, and he's under a bit of pressure, I have to say. If you caught a glimpse of his face there, he's about 4 men down. He looked as though he was searching for a bit. Majority of these riders, the remnants of the breakaway, or they're being dropped from the back of the peloton actually as we go back up towards the front. All the Euskaltel riders now also in trouble. This is Sammy Sanchez, the team leader, being dropped, the Olympic champion, losing ground as our motorbike moves back up towards the very, very select group of riders left here now on what has been an incredible war of attrition today. Giovanni Bernardo of B-Box was hanging on the back. So Astana, largely Dmitry Fofanov, Navarro, Benjamin Noval, Tiralongo. These are the pacemakers, all in the name of Alberto Contador. Oscar Pujol continues to ride here. He's been very aggressive throughout this tour. Hasn't really paid off for him. He's never won a bike race, by the way, Oscar. That doesn't mean he can't start now enjoying the likes of Daniel Navarro. There's the face of Brakovic. He's been a very, very good leader. Hasn't made a single mistake so far, little Yanni. And he knows that if he comes through the test today, he's in with more than a shout of victory tomorrow in Salange. Denis Menchov here, still trying to improve his overall position of 6th, just on 3 minutes behind. This is, I think it's Christophe Riblon just dropping back there. It looked like him. Stanislav Samoilev of Quick-Step also now in trouble. Question of hanging on for as long as you can, but it's a relentless pace here set by the Astana boys, who themselves are soon going to start thinning out. and it'll be a battle between these two. You can feel it in your blood, can't you? He knows that it's all going to go very ugly in the next couple of kilometres. Di Gregorio here, heading back to the relentless pace of what is now just a handful of riders, really, and the pacemakers will drop back very shortly. This is the town of Wes, the famous Dutch corner over the years gone by when the Dutch used to win at Alpe d'Huez at a regular basis. Since then it's moved to be the Danish corner, the Norwegian corner, and whoever else is on top. So we're about 5-6 miles from the summit. Astana still happy to set the pace here, and Brakovic giving us no idea exactly what's going on, but he looks to me to be very, very comfortable. Sits on the wheel of Contador. Contador has 2 teammates left. I suspect it is Navarro and Tirolongo who are left. The return of Di Gregorio. Made his name in 2007 in this very event when he won the King of the Mountains. And he's never won a race at all since 2006, by the way, Di Gregorio. The year after he turned pro, he managed to get 1 small win. Oh, just how much longer can the Astana boys keep this relentless pace up here? Sooner or later, Contador is going to have to make a move. When he senses the pace is slowing, then he's going to have to make a move, otherwise all the work will be for nothing. Hero of the day again today, Denefeld. He was up in that move all day, 3rd over the top of the mountains, back out on the course. And again, it was the old 1-2, Pujol coming from behind to try and steal the day for Cervelo. He's still out in front, but there's still 10 kilometres to go and more. Little transponders on the forkstay there. That's how they get the results out so quickly at the finish line these days. And again, this time it is Tirolongo who's done all he can do now. He's falling back. I think he's just leaving Navarro up front. Tremendous piece of riding nonetheless, so we're getting ready to launch now. Contador is running out of firepower. Soon it'll be down to the big gun himself to take on Brakovic. It's got all the makings of a one-on-one fight, this, because nobody else seems capable. One by one, the riders dropping back. Di Gregorio is now gone as well. Kopecky, who took the lead in the King of the Mountains yesterday, I'm afraid we've not seen anything of him. It seems a bad jersey to win this year, because when you win it, we don't show any pictures of him in it. Because Tanking lost it. Ladanu was the first leader of it on day 2. He lost it to Tanking. Tanking kept it for 3 days, lost it to Kopecky yesterday, and we've never seen a shot of any of them. So, the catch. Now, it's become all of a sudden all about the Maillot Jaune, a battle for yellow now. 8 riders left in it, and I think Pujol will pass straight through and out the back door. 7 riders heading up towards the summit. This is the young face of DJ Van Garden as well here, and what an incredible ride he's doing again. He's really matured this week. The Alpe d'Huez must seem like the high spot of the world right now to somebody like TJ. Just what is he thinking? Does he have the legs to rip away? I mean, he's asking an awful lot. He's leaving it quite late to try and gain 1 minute and 40 seconds or more off Brakovic. Brakovic doesn't look like a man who's going to concede very much at all. He's down the back of the race. This is Oscar Pujol now, who looks as though his day is done as well. Mentally broke and physically wrecked right now, I would think, Oscar. 5 or 6 riders left as we continue the ascent of Alpe d'Huez here, round this rather steep, horrible hairpin. The inside is always the steepest part of the corner. They make it look quite easy. Brakovic, wherever Contador goes, Yanni's going to follow. TJ still tucked in here. Now, a little bit of a look round to see where the maillot jaune is. Wrong way, Alberto. Try the other way. Just checking on his face, seeing if he's looking under pressure. He knows that if he's going to attack, it's got to come soon. The leaky gas rider is still Sylvester Smith there in that lime green jersey. Jerome Koppel, I wonder where, I haven't known. Oh, there he is on the far left of our picture. Well, that's a fair ride by Jerome Koppel. The Seyeur-sur-Jezun team, I have to say, has had a very, very good season. They're in here as a wild card because they're French, but they are riding extremely well. I can see a lot of their riders finding their way to Pro Tour teams over the winter. Koppel himself won the Rhône-Alpes Isère Tour, which is not very far away from here and is very hilly, and he won it by winning the first stage of the race, so shouldn't be in too much distress here, as now we see the departure of Navarro. I think it was Navarro there. And now this is the attack that had to come because he's got nobody else left. That's blown what's left of this group apart. We won't call it a peloton, we won't call it a break, it's just gone. And now it is up to Alberto Contador, but look at the reaction here from Yanni Brakovic. So this is not a tired man at all, and he's not a frightened man either. I think that's important on Alpe d'Huez against the best climber in the world, the Grand Tour winner. And Contador now, who's won all of the Grand Tours, is putting the pressure on here just to see how good the Radio Shack youngster is. Tremendous effort, well spotted by Brakovic. He was a little bit slow in reacting. He had to close the gap, but he did it. And now Contador, who's lifted the cadence and is going to lock in at this for a while. Little bit of a spot of bother here at the rear of the field for TJ. Second overall at 1 minute and 15 seconds. Could be conceding that at least to Contador if he doesn't get yellow, but he hasn't shaken Brakovic anyway. Nothing to be sorry about there, TJ. This is a brute of a climb. Now this does move around a lot, this mountain, as it hairpins its way up. It plateaus out a little bit, but it more or less stays in one direction for a short way up to the top. But the wind is troublesome today, and there's a gap opening here. Is this the moment at 8 kilometers still to go to the summit? No, is the answer to that question, because he's come right back on him. I don't think there'll be any assistance from the yellow jersey. Why would you want to help a man that wants to destroy you? Just going to sit there while he finishes alongside him. He knows he could be winning the Dauphiné. Contador dreaming of the Alps in the month of July, just around the corner. Can he get another win in the Tour de France? Very difficult opening week in the Tour this year, as we leave Holland, bound for Belgium and France through the cobbled areas. He won't like that, I'm sure. Sylvester Schmidt at the back here, sitting on the back of Jürgen van den Broek. Van den Broek showed his ability in his first Tour de France last year, finished 15th overall, so the Belgians are going to hang on with him this year and hope, because he'll lead the Omega Pharma team because of Cadel Evans moving away to BMC. So he's also testing himself big time, and he's passing with flying colours just now. More gaps are opening here by Alberto. Yanni is having to fight back. Fearsome acceleration by this Spanish rider. But I take my hat off to Yanni Brachiovic right now. He's certainly not cracking. He just can't answer the acceleration, but he gets back into top gear and he moves back up to him. And just look at that. It's amazing what a yellow jersey on your shoulders does. You don't give up without every ounce of energy left in your body, mentally and physically. He's back up behind him. And I just wonder if Contador knows he's yo-yoing Brachiovic, or whether he's just getting on with his own race. Now Brachiovic, a little bit of psyching out of Contador perhaps to try and get alongside him and say, well, I'm still here and feeling good. Koppel, Schmidt, Vandenbroek. They're probably, I don't know whether that time check is on these three riders. It could be. And then again, it might not be. 15 seconds for these three. They might get back up. They're on the other side of those motorbikes. It's all down to the work. Look at this, no-handed now. Going round a very steep corner. Brachiovic is full of confidence. This will be a huge result for the team Radio Shack if he survives today to the top of the Alp. Just looking for signs, but there's no signs, are there? His face is just giving nothing away. Contador assessing how his form sits for the Tour de France. Conceded his time in the time trial to Brachiovic. This is the place where normally he would recoup it on the mountains, but today I'm not so sure anymore now. 7 kilometers still to climb. An awful long way. If the elastic snaps and you crack, you'll lose 2 minutes in the last 6k, 6.9k. It's been that sort of race all week, really. It's been a two-man race. Brachiovic's job only to watch Contador. Nobody else seems to have broken into the action. Sylvester Schmidt here from Liquigas, another team which is having a stellar season. Not least with first and third in the Tour de France. The Tour of Spain, rather. And we'll get it right this time. Even the Giro d'Italia this year. Still 2 Grand Tours to come. Slightly different design to the maillot jaune, but all the indications with the advertising on that jersey that the sponsorship is now the Tour de France itself. And of course a little bit different because of it now, moving a little bit wider afield because the sponsoring newspaper has changed in effect. It used to be the Dauphiné Libéré, now it's just the Criterium du Dauphine. Sylvester Schmidt, no victories for him this year. You may recall, if you were lucky enough to see the Dauphiné last year, though, when it was the Dauphiné Libéré, Schmidt was the rider who won at the top of Mont Ventoux, where the race went last year. That's really his only win as a professional as well, but he is a strong rider, and here he goes again, and he's going to reach him. They've steadily come in here, and it's all because of Contador yo-yoing a little bit, thinking only of the yellow jersey and how to crack him, and it's difficult to crack him from the front right now because he's tucked in and the wind is largely on face, and if that's the case it won't be easy to get away. Brachiovic sitting upright there, taking a few deep breaths every now and again to fill those lungs up. Plenty of time to dream what it's like to follow the wheel of currently the best stage race rider in the world. Schmidt is coming up to try and spoil the party here. Schmidt, no danger at all. He's over 6 minutes behind those two boys out front, so they can allow him to even go by if they want to continue their in-house battle. But he's made a good effort here to climb into the top 10 overall. It's been all Contador as far as the pacemaking has been going. It's been all Yanni as far as keeping the race lead has been going. Schmidt is joining them on a steep part of the course here. Round the side of the church. I wonder what the surprise will be registered there. We can't quite see the face of Contador, but I think he must be a bit surprised somebody's come from behind to join them. He'll be well aware of who Sylvester Schmidt is, the Polish rider. Incidentally, it was a Polish rider who won the very first Dauphiné back in 1947 from memory. So I've got a long memory. Edward Klebinski was the first winner of the Dauphiné. But I think he must have had French nationality or something, because in those days the Dauphiné was reserved for only French cyclists as far as I remember. However, he's officially shown as Polish on the results. But no rider has won from Jani Brakovic country, Slovenia. That might all change tomorrow afternoon. Now we've got three, and the intruder, Sylvester Schmidt, will just cause a little bit of confusion, I think, because even if he attacks, I don't think Brakovic will chase him. Might be the perfect day for a stage win for Schmidt. First time and only time since stage 5 of this event on Mont Ventoux, and there comes the move. He's trying to take advantage of the in-house battle here. You see, there's no reaction from Jani Brakovic. Why should there be? Because over 6 minutes back to Schmidt in the overall. He's not going to lose over a minute a kilometre to Schmidt right now to the top. So he's only concerned in the whereabouts of the man in blue. And it looks as though Contador, matter of pride at stake, I think, here. Immediately rejoined Sylvester Schmidt. Well, Schmidt has laid his cards on the table now. Let's have a look behind. This is Jurgen van den Broek. Young Frenchman Coppel also riding well. Who wants a drink if anybody's got one? I'm not sure he's allowed to receive one at 5 kilometres from the top, even if it is a mountain top finish, but I'm sure he'll pay the fine and take the drink. There you can see the climb through the village of Wez, and it's at that point on the far right of our screen, bottom corner, where you get your first real sighting of those chalets at the top. This is the shot. If the camera lifted up now, you see the chalets and you think, oh no, all that way still to climb. "17 seconds to the riders Schmidt left behind. Not a lot on the slopes of Alpe d'Huez. Contador having none of it now. He's quite relieved, in fact, that Schmidt has taken up the pacemaker. And there's the two guys just behind there. They're coming. Could have 5 riders, surprisingly, at the top here. That's probably going to be to the disadvantage of Brakovic, because Contador can sort of mix things up a little bit here and then try an acceleration from the group on his own. Quite clearly, Jani Brakovic has only one thing in mind today. That's to glue himself to the back wheel of Alberto, and where he goes, we go. This is TJ. He's not out of this by any manner of means at the moment. Not too sure exactly where he is, but I think he's only just behind those 5 riders forming at the front. They're on, and immediately Jurgen van den Broek tries a little acceleration to see if they're all paying attention. Contador is, Brakovic is, they're all together. So that 43 seconds now, I suspect, is to TJ van Garderen. As we're inside 5 kilometres to the top of Alpe d'Huez. That's about 8 minutes, 9 minutes of racing. And there is a brilliant attack now, and this is what was likely, and there's a reaction coming from Brakovic. He's not quite got the acceleration of this remarkable man. I just remember Johan Brunel saying when he had him on his team, he's never seen a rider accelerate so many times on the mountain with the speed of Alberto Contador. Well, it may be more of a diesel reaction coming from Yanni, but he's come back yet again, and Contador must be saying, I can't believe this, but the guy's back with me. Schmidt has recovered, and the two boys that caught up have suddenly gone back again. This is one of the nicest sections if you like the views from the Alpe d'Huez, but I don't suppose the riders are noticing it right now. Look at the face of Contador here. It's hurting. Anybody who thinks even the best climbers in the world sail up these mountains are wrong. He knows how to hurt himself as well as all five regroup here. The climbs continue for the moment back out in open plains underneath the cable car which goes up to the summit. Frambourg-Glazon. Yes, a little Jérôme Coppel made a fast attempt and a quicker departure. It's Contador back in front. Well, it's not often we're treated to a real battle on Alpe d'Huez like this. By this stage of the climb, usually the strongest have gone to the front. But here we have two riders locked in and three intruders. And still, although he's under pressure, he is not giving an inch here, Brakovic. And I'm not sure that Contador has many more cards left in his hand either. If these two finish together at the top, then surely it's going to be a victory tomorrow in Salange for Brakovic. Day one, Contador said, I'm not here to win the Dauphiné, so he starts in yellow. I'm going to give it away on day two, he said, but he never did. Day four, he lost the lead in the time trial to Brakovic, and now here he is again, always under the guise of testing his form for the Tour de France. This is a race Contador has never won, by the way. He was close last year. He was third behind Valverde and Cadel Evans. Brakovic riding a very clever ride here, doing none of the attacking. That's not his job. That was the 4 kilometers to go sign. This is Jürgen van den Broek. No results from Jürgen van den Broek yet, but it is his job to come good for the upcoming Tour de France. He's proving he's done plenty of training and good preparation. Last year his best finish was 4th in the Eneco Tour. That's in the month of August. That's still to come, of course. A couple of months away from that, but he'll want to see a result now. He's just yo-yoing a little bit now. He was second in the Young Riders competition in the Giro d'Italia when he finished 7th in that race 2 years ago. That's when the Belgians realised they had a good climber on their books, but he's been hampered in his progress because he's been Cadel Evans' man in the mountains. But now he's free to lead the team, Omega Pharma Lotto, so we'll see what he does when it comes up to July. He's certainly going good at this point. This consistent pacemaking, again by Contador, hurts everybody except the yellow jersey. This isn't the Contador of July, that's for sure. He'd be dancing away to the summits all alone. But right now, I think at this point he may be thinking of conceding this year's Dauphiné to the man behind him. Looking for 3 kilometers to go. Hardly ever alters his riding style. Sits there, hands in the middle of the bars. Here comes Coppel again. I'm not sure whether he's going forward or backward. 3:53 behind, plus the few seconds we can see right now in the overall. Schmidt's got back. Communal suffering on the Alp, that's for sure today, and it's all being caused by Contador. I think Capelli's going to get back up there. Another big effort from the Frenchman. Sadly, this team will not be in the Tour de France, for sure. As the three leaders go through again, tight on the inside, climbing a little bit wide as they come out. Contador, Schmidt, Brakovic in that order. Coppell will be round the corner now. And Schmidt's got his second wind here. He's trying to ride in the suspicion that the other two may just mark each other and let him ride away, but not just yet. Contador, little matter of pride, as I said earlier, because I think Contador doesn't want anybody to beat him to the top today. This will be a big test for him. Everybody wants to win on top of the Alp anyway, but it's been a long climb up here today, nowhere near the records of Marco Pantani and Lance Armstrong. Schmidt takes a big look across at Contador. It's returned, then he tries again. Contador very quick to react. Brakovic just lets them get on with it. We're not far from the top chalet there now. Didn't see it the 3 kilometres to go. It's probably about to come at us if we're on the same deficit on our little reader board here. We're slightly under on the clock today, which is different to most days, and there it is. 3 kilometres to go. Sorry about my little bit of a cold, everybody, today. I'm struggling for the Tour de France as well, but I'll make it. But we are hearing on race radio that there are a lot of riders behind today, so I think there will be eliminations at the top of Alpe d'Huez today. TJ Van Garderen still there, still very much in a high finish here, but battling now to try and make a podium place tomorrow. That's going to be a tough call. He's been in that position the whole race, but he knows quite literally now every second will make the big difference for him. See if he can hold it by tonight. Schmidt, I don't think, will damage his reputation. He's still got a bit of ground to make up. There's the sign, Alpe d'Huez. Unfortunately, it's still a little way to the finishing line as we go up through the town and across the square and continue out towards the other side. If you keep going, by the way, you'll find the glacier up there. You can ski all the year round. But at the end of the day, it's a road to nowhere. Unless you're on skis, then you can go over the top and down the other side. Nice little group here, which is the chase group, reforming at the back with the boys from Case d'Epargne here. Moreau is in there he is. And Sanchez has tacked on at the back here, Chris Horner. Very select little group this. Riblon is there for AG2Rs. We've gone back up to the leaders. Well, Schmidt is really riding well today. He's trying to deliver another winning move here. Just as Coppell has got on the back, and Coppell, I thought for a moment Coppell was going to try and sprint straight by them, but I think he's just trying to sprint to stay with them. And again, another fearsome acceleration by Contador. This one has hurt Schmidt. This one has really hurt him and Coppell. Poor old Jerome. At least he could see the attack, but now he's hanging on the back again. But there's the chalets. Although the road gets no shallower, the thought of the chalets will help them a little bit. Sanchez at the back here, wearing number 1 there, Christophe Moreau, the former winner of this race a couple of years ago. 3 to be precise, when he beat Cadel Evans and Kashikin and Denis Menchov. And 1, Dave Zabriskie finished 5th. And guess who was 6th in 2007? Alberto Contador. Jerome Coppell fighting for his life again, but having had a great climb up the mountain today, the Frenchman. Little bit of respite at around 2 kilometres. Oh, these two Siamese twins today. Contador, I think, will be quite pleased with his climb. He's not been able to shake anybody, which will upset him a little bit. But at 2 kilometres to go, he's got the others in trouble again. Schmidt is nearest to them. For the moment, I think Van den Broek has dropped away from that little group. There's Schmidt, this is Coppel. And Van den Broek is behind Jerome. Time to start thinking about who's going to win the stage here. Clearly these two are the best two on the mountain. Now, does it mean that Brakovic will be able to win the stage? He's only worried about time, although it must be in his thoughts to say, I won at the top of Alpe d'Huez, and if you beat somebody like Contador, that makes it even nicer. This is the crossing of the town now. It's still steep, but not as steep. And if they can keep the pace up here, we're just going to go on a little bridge here and swing round a bit. And then we'll go into the heart of the town. Contador has tested himself well today. Jerome Coppel. Not too sure what's happened now to Sylvester Schmidt, but I think that's him just under the bridge. So Coppel is riding in fourth. TJ coming up here. Chris Horner's in this group, just behind him too, but it looks though TJ's the stronger of the two there. Well, these are the narrow streets of Alpe d'Huez here. Ski resort in the winter. And funnily enough, in the summer it was reopened really for the arrival of the Tour de France. We're going back a long way now, 1973 or 4 it was, the first time we came in the 70s. Fausto Coppi once won up here in the 50s, that was another one-off visit though. And since then the Alpe has become the mecca of world cycling. If you ever get the opportunity to ride up the Alpe d'Huez, by the way, and let me remind you that if you call in at the Office of Tourism at the top of the climb, they will give you a certificate and you can put your time on for the climb. There is an actual finishing line, it's all signed for you, all you got to do is ride your bike up it. TJ Van Garderen, again another day of coming to maturity here for the youngster, 21 years of age, challenging the world's best cyclist on Alpe d'Huez. He's riding absolutely formidably. Meanwhile, the world's best cyclist in the stage racing world, at least, Alberto Contador, just can't get rid of Brakovic at 1 kilometre to go. Schmidt, he's currently in... Oh, he's coming back. I don't believe this, but he's still determined to try and get the victory here like he did on Mont Ventoux last year in this event. But there's an acceleration. I resist from saying at last from Yanni Brakovic, because his job has been perfect today, just shadowing Contador. But now he's decided he's not going to gain any time off him. What little energy he might have left, he's going to use it. And all of a sudden Contador is thinking, well, here I am following the Maillot Jaune now, and I couldn't drop him on the slopes. Little flick of the elbow from Yanni. Alberto saying, I'm not sure I want to bother again. So Yanni shut down, so Contador has to go past him. Take a look over your shoulder. Schmidt is coming back here. 500 metres to the finish. I don't suppose they'll pop in to the Office of Tourism for their certificate to be signed today. The question now is, though, which one will win? The yellow jersey in the Tour de France has done it in the past at the top of the climb. I wonder if today this will be the case in the Dauphiné. Big acceleration. They can hear the voice of Daniel Manjas now as they swing up towards the finish. It's going to be a perfect lead out, I would suspect, for Contador, because he's got the slipstream of Yanni Brakovic, but is he going to go for it? 4.5 hours today over the Glandon as well, and the Grand Coucheron, but now this is the one that counts. Alberto Contador at least saves face here. He hasn't dropped Brakovic on the climb, but he has won the day. Contador gets it. There's the gunshot. No time gap at all. So they stay locked together for tomorrow. First and possibly second overall now, because Schmidt comes in, the clock counts on, 10 seconds has gone by. Around about 15 seconds on the line. Jerome Coppel of Saujon comes up the line. He's in fourth. Well split up. They'll be climbing up the overall tonight, but they won't be affecting the leaderboard. It's all about where TJ Van Garderen finishes now as to whether it'll change behind Brakovic, but I'm certain now that Contador will move into second overall. Jürgen van den Broek comes in fifth as we gaze out to the chasm which is Alpe d'Huez, and there is the full result for you. Van der Broek home in 5th place there. Moreau is 6th, Riblon 7th, Sanchez, Burgundy and Chris Horner completing the top 10. First of all, the stage winner today. And he's smiling. He gave it all he had got, and it wasn't enough today, but it's another step closer to big form for the Tour de France.
Yanni, I guess it's a huge satisfaction to be able to remain in the wheel of Contador on this tough climb and probably to win the Dauphiné.
Yeah, I'm really happy. I wasn't feeling so well at the second to last climb, but I was pretty much suffering at the beginning of the last climb. But then on, Alberto attacked, and I just said to myself, I have to pace myself, yeah, I was able to answer all attacks he did, but I have to say I was also a little bit lucky because there was a lot of wind, and he took all the wind for me.
Yanni, I suppose there's a guy at home watching his TV or maybe on Twitter who must be satisfied with your performance at Slant Armstrong.
Wow, I mean, I'm really happy for this race. I'm going really well, and I guess the team is super happy. Yeah, Lance is of course super happy. Everybody's happy, but we still have one day to go. So let's stay calm and see what tomorrow brings.
A very wise young man, because the last day is no giveaway as it is in the Tour de France. There's the situation going into the final day. Contador exactly as he was at the start of it, despite the mountains. Van Garderen only slips one place to third. He's still on the podium and one day to go. Rakovic, I'm sure, is signing his entry into the Tour de France with this performance. As we go to the final day, stage 7, as we head to Solange, and we climb 5 times the Côte de Dormancy, which is an absolute brute on what is really a circuit race now down in Solange. And I'm afraid to say the rain has joined us here as it's rolled in off the Alps. Alvard-les-Bains to Solange, and it'll take the riders away and then onto the circuit finish down there, 148 kilometres. Not a big distance as we join the action here, 5.5 kilometres from the finish. The man who's taken the bull by the horns today is Eddie Boysenhagen, who now rides on Team Sky, having made his early days with Team HTC Columbia. These are the boys who have been doing all of the work today, and this is the climb. This is Aaron Perez here at Christel. About to go back into the group. He was one of the early breakaways. Boysenhagen really has decided to push on alone. You can see the gap is nothing great, and it quite well will come together, but the good news is that the peloton, following the breakaway for most of the ride today, haven't really attacked each other, so this could well be the race for Yanni Brachkovic now. There's no way in the last 5.5 kilometres that Contador can get back the time he's lost. TJ Van Garderen is still in there as well, which is well worth noting, and there's been a mass of retirements. I think there's fewer than 100 riders left in the race now. That's all because passing through the finishing line, the boys have said enough is enough, and they simply climbed off their bikes. Igor Martinez, after yesterday, is the new leader in the King of the Mountains, by the way. They're set to win that one. Brachkovic again, with his second place yesterday, has gone back into the green jersey of points leader. But that's a battle, funny enough, with Contador now, and not with Geraint Thomas. And you can probably see Contador down there. He's wearing the green jersey at the moment because he's second in the competition, and Brachkovic is in yellow. Another attack by Futon Sedetto here, just trying to sweep up from the breakaway. That was Arcades Duran. There he is, mouth wide open. Slowly but surely though, they're being dispatched backwards. It's the big effort of Eddie Boysenhagen. This is Duran, who was in the breakaway. He's got away from the remnants of the break, in fact, about 10 kilometres ago in pursuit of Boysenhagen. And we haven't got an exact time check on him, but I think he's about 45 seconds behind Eddie. peloton further back. 4.8 kilometers to go. All of these remnants of the big breakaway that got away today. There were some small hills, but Kevin de Weert was in the breakaway. Alan Perez of Euskaltel, we've seen him. A lot of guys hoping they could finish off the big day. Christophe Lemaivel of France, who'll be going to the Tour de France with Française des Jeux. He was in the move. Dario Cataldo was there for Quick Step. And Rémi Poriol of Cofidis. This is the back end of what was the World Championship circuit in 1980. And what a tremendous race it was here in Solange. I remember commentating at the time, hoping that Robert Miller was going to be the first ever Scottish world champion. And it just didn't quite work out for him. The man on fire was indeed Bernard Hinault. Won in solitary splendour. Gianpaolo Barancelli was the silver medalist in the end, and poor old Robert cracked big time just near the end. Now youth personified by Edward Boysenhagen here, and this will be a tremendous victory for this youngster if he can get it. Up on the hills just above Solange at the moment. He's having a problem on these wet roads. They are a bit treacherous. They've got to be careful, especially on those white lines. If Contador can't beat Brakovic, you've got to watch out the weather doesn't take control here and beat him. We don't want to see him fall just now. This race is in the bag, barring problems like that. And once you're inside 3 kilometers to go, the international rule will apply. Not even a crash will take it away from him. Boysenhagen, I don't think anybody's going to take the risks required now to bring him back here. He led the Tour de Qatar, started his season, he led it for a day, and he finished second overall in the new Tour of Oman, where he won the time trial in that race and the road stage as well. Picked up a stage in the Tirreno Adriatico, and now he's done nothing since March as far as winning goes. This will put him back on the leaderboard if he holds off. It was stage 7-2 from memory. He won in Tirreno Adriatico, and this is stage 7 today of the Dauphiné. Oh, it's a lucky number. He'll have his crack at the Tour de France this year, I would imagine, for Team Sky. That was the 2 kilometre board. Arquets Duran stayed away here, but oh boy, those roads are getting a bit treacherous now. This is a good result for Futon Servetto. Can't say I like the colour of their racing team, but they certainly are often in our cameras. See the narrow descent here. If you can get away from the peloton or from anybody, then you're out of sight around these corners, and that's a tremendous fillip when you do that. Soon it'll be on flat roads as he sees the kilometre to go to run through to the finish, and Boysenhagen is going to make no mistake here. Earlier on today, the boys were filling up the car park as they were turning out of the peloton and just going home. Still 50 riders stopped so far on this stage today. It's often the case on the last day of a big stage race. Difference, I guess, between amateur and professional cycling. Professionals do it for the job and not the final result if they're not going to win. Here's the right turn. This is the way home now. We'll see the 1 kilometre to go for Edvald Boysenhagen. As he heads home, he is just turned 23 years of age, this man. He's got such a long future ahead of him, and he really is a superstar. I can tell you now, he's won 45 races since he turned pro in 2006. This is not a new kid on the block, but he's still a kid, and he's got a long way to go as a top bike rider. One day I think he'll have the quality to win the Tour de France, but for today he'll have to settle for the last stage for Sky, yes, of this year's Criterium du Dauphine. He gets the victory for the team, a big result for them as they head to the Tour de France. And Duran gets a very, very good second place because he was in the move of the day. He's hung on. As the riders here just about hang on to the places because the peloton is rapidly closing in. That's Igor Sidin of Team Katusha who's making the move. And Christophe Lemaivel Best place with 10th in the Tour de France last year. Best placed Frenchman going again now, having finished 4th today. And look at this, TJ Van Garderen leading out the group in the race for 5th, and I think he gets it. Just ahead of none other than Alberto Contador in 6th. Brakovic at the back of that group, so he wins the race as Chris Horner comes home. He'll be just outside the top 10 with that. Well, well, well. TJ Van Garderen, a star of the future there, and should finish in 3rd place overall with that result today. He's on the podium. Terrific result, always in the top 3 since he finished up in the time trial in 2nd. But there's the rider who's won it, and now he's in the Tour de France. TJ comes and says, well done. The new faces of the world of cycling. So let's remind ourselves first of all of the final stage result. Boysenhagen gets it ahead of Duran, Céline Lemervel. Contador is 6th, TJ is 5th. Van der Broek is 8th. Big names we could talk about in the Tour. Not TJ, I don't think he's in the Tour team this year. Boysenhagen will be though, as he gets a good victory for Sky. They need a little bit of a result and he's give it to them. The final overall though, Jan Brekovic becomes the first rider from Slovenia ever to win at the 62nd attempt at the Dauphiné. Alberto Contador in 2nd, that's his best ever finish. Van Garderen in 3rd.
Yanni, a word on the stage first of all. I guess it must have been very stressful out there with the rain and on this difficult course.
Yeah, I mean, we knew today was going to be still hard. I guess we were a little bit lucky. The break got away, and it wasn't so stressful. It was okay. I mean, we had everything under control, and Alberto decided not to attack today. So I guess he didn't want to risk a crash in a downhill. So it was perfect for us.
What went on in your mind when you crossed the finish line with that yellow jersey, knowing you had won the Dauphiné? It's an amazing moment in your career, I guess.
Oh, actually, I don't know. I guess I was thinking about going home as soon as possible. Yeah, of course, it's the biggest success of my career, and guys did an awesome job this week. They were great, and obviously I still have a good form, so everything went great, and yeah, it's the first win.
The first big win indeed for Yanis Brakovic, and he will take the vacancy on Radio Shack for his upcoming first ever Tour de France. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. From a thunderous Alps in Solange, Phil Liggett saying until the next time. Goodbye.